to my YouTube channel, and today we'll be talking about the state of every PlayStation studio, their upcoming games that they haven't announced, games that are coming out 2026, 2025. Every game the studios are working on, we'll be covering everything today. So without further ado, let's start the video.
We're over halfway through 2025 already, which means it's time to check in on all of Sony's PlayStation studios to see what they're making and what games are coming to your PS5 in the months and years to come. While the console has received some great exclusives in 2025, including the critically acclaimed Death Stranding 2, none of Sony's first-party studios have released a game this calendar year.
To be honest, I think 2020 started 2025 till 2027 will be a lucky year for us, because we've been getting some amazing games this year, especially through the announcement of the Game Award early this year. Yeah, so from now till next year till 2027, we are going to be getting like good games.
Aside from the annual inevitability that is MLB The Show. So surely that means plenty of PlayStation studios have games coming out soon, or at the very least have secrets up their sleeves, right? Well, that's exactly what we're going to take a look at here. What are the developers behind PlayStation's highly respected library up to now, and how long will it be before we get to both see and play their projects? So let's dig into what each studio is doing, and when we can realistically expect to see new games from them. Naughty Dog's attention is now firmly on Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, a spacefaring game with retro 80s vibes. After leaving the future of The Last of Us HBO show in the hands of Craig Mazin, studio head and creative director Neil Druckmann is now working full steam ahead with his team on the Uncharted studio's first new series since 2013. But aside from a cinematic-heavy trailer at last year's Game Awards, we've seen very little of this sci-fi story.
Tell me something good.
What we do know is that it follows George.
I haven't heard anything so far. This is the only video we've heard about this game. The only thing is this short video, and that's all. No announcement, no update, no second trailer.
Jordan A. Munn, a bounty hunter who gets stranded on a planet when on the trail of a criminal syndicate called the Five Aces. It's also rumoured to have a deeper combat system than any previous Naughty Dog game, with the reveal trailer giving us a tiny glimpse of its lightsaber-esque gameplay. Oh, and the music is being composed by Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. That's never not a good thing. Could this be Sony's big 2026 PS5 game? We can certainly hope, but we would love to see some gameplay before making such assumptions. It would appear that this isn't the only iron Naughty Dog has in the fire though, with Druckmann teasing that the studio has a second unannounced game in development. Could this be The Last of Us Part 3? Uncharted 5? Something completely different? Let us know what you think in the comments.
What's next?
Oh.
Santa Monica Studio released God of War Ragnarok to huge success in late 2022, and followed it up with the surprisingly lengthy 3 Valhalla DLC in December 2023. What's next for the studio remains a mystery, although we do know Cory Barlog, who led development on
But I saw a rumor of God of War Egypt, which was the old one. So I'm thinking, are we getting a new one or are we getting a remake?
2018's God of War moved on to helm a new project in 2021 after leaving Eric Williams to fill Ragnarok's director seat. Little to nothing is known about that new project, but given it has been in development for a number of years already, it wouldn't be beyond unreasonable to expect to see it revealed this year. As for a new God of War game, well, we likely can't expect that as quickly. Despite the gap between Ragnarok and its predecessor being only 4 years, the end of Kratos' Norse saga signals a new direction for the series, which naturally means it will require a lot more work from the ground up. We can hope, of course, but don't expect to see everyone's favourite angry dad anytime soon. That said, we wouldn't say no to a remake of the original trilogy. Insomniac is arguably Sony's most prolific studio, having released
We need a Spider-Man 3. We need a Spider-Man 3. That's what we need. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. A Spider-Man 3 will be dope. real.
either a Spider-Man or Ratchet & Clank game every couple of years for almost a decade now. Its most recent launch was in 2023 with the hugely successful Marvel Spider-Man 2, and so, based on pattern, you'd be forgiven for expecting a new Insomniac game in 2025. But in a worrying sign of the fragile state of the games industry, even a game of Spider-Man 2's magnitude couldn't prevent layoffs from occurring last year. That capped off what turned out to be a doubly damaging couple of months for the developer, following a huge data breach and subsequent theft. The data theft revealed that the studio's highly anticipated Wolverine game is not expected until 2026 at the earliest, but also that a Venom game may arrive before it. Either way, it's highly unlikely Insomniac will be springing any surprise games this year, and after all the studio has gone through recently, I think it's fair to allow it as much of a break as anyone.
Almost there. How you holding up? Miles? Principal Evans called. Man, am I getting expelled?
I get this Spider-Man thing.
Sucker Punch is following up 2020's Ghost of Tsushima with Ghost of Yōtei, scheduled for an October 2nd, 2025 release. As showcased in a recent State of Play stream, the standalone sequel takes us to Hokkaido on a revenge quest to deal with the Yōtei 6, the murderers of protagonist Atsu's family. With a non-linear quest structure and more varied arsenal, it's looking set to be a true evolution of Tsushima's open world foundations. Guerrilla followed up 2022's Horizon Forbidden West with the Burning Shores DLC 1 year later, as it continues.
This game takes a lot of fight. I'm not gonna lie. The storage contents in this game is because this game is a large game. That's what I'm gonna say. This game in particular is a large game, so it takes everything.
To build out Aloy's story. With the West Coast set sequel ending on a cliffhanger, it's not a stretch to expect the Amsterdam-based studio to be working on the third part of the trilogy next. We wouldn't expect any news on that one soon, however. The development time between Zero Dawn and Forbidden West was 5 years, so we're likely a little while away from seeing Aloy and her metal dinosaur friends again. What we're reportedly more likely to see first is a live service Horizon game that's currently in the works, starring a new cast of characters and a unique stylized look. Perhaps this is something we can hope to see more of sooner rather than later, although this year may be a stretch, with Sony perhaps reassessing their
game came out, Horizon was actually like one of the biggest game of its release from the studio, and it was a lot of people playing this game, like for real, a lot of people. And to be honest, the graphics, the gameplay, the characters, the action was actually good in this game. Like everything in this game was everything we ever wanted.
Sooner rather than later, although this year may be a stretch, with Sony perhaps reassessing their live service future following the failure of Concord and the troubles facing Marathon. Finnish developer Housemarque is following up 2021's Returnal with Saros, another sci-fi action game. Starring Rahul Kohli as Arjun Devraj, players will be taken to a lost off-world colony on the planet Carcosa in order to investigate its mysteries. An evolution of Returnal's roguelike rhythm, it's set to deliver Housemarque's trademark challenging shooter combat when it arrives on PS5 sometime in 2026. Now, there are a number of PS5 console exclusives on the way that aren't from first-party PlayStation studios. Those include Bungie's Marathon, which has faced a turbulent few months this year due to development controversies surrounding allegedly plagiarized artwork and a less than warm reception to its closed alpha. As a result, the online shooter, once scheduled for a late 2025 launch, has been delayed indefinitely. One exclusive coming out very soon, however, is Lost Solar Side, from Chinese studio Altizero Games. Hitting PS5s on August 29th, its development began
The same people that develop Devil May Cry
way back in 2014, starting life as a solo development project before broadening out into a team effort. An action game inspired by classics of the genre such as Devil May Cry and Bayonetta, it certainly caught the eye in its most recent trailer. And then we have Phantom Blade Zero, another PS5 console exclusive that we'll highlight here. A semi-open world samurai bloodfest with Souls-like elements, it certainly doesn't look to be lacking in style. We can hope to see more of it later this year, but with no release date set as of yet, we won't expect to be playing it anytime soon. Originally due for release this year, Haven Studios
I know why I've not been speaking, because most of these games we haven't been getting updates about them. We've not been getting trailer. We've not even been getting anything they try to give about the game. Maybe a sneak peek, something like that. But no, they haven't actually given us anything apart from their short trailer. So we don't know. We can't say much about those games.
Multiplayer shooter Fair Games is now expected in the spring of 2026. It's not been smooth sailing for another of Sony's planned live service offerings, with Jade Raymond, who only founded the studio in 2021, leaving the project earlier this year. Work is still ongoing on the online heist game though, with little to nothing seen of it since the 2023 cinematic trailer reveal. We're left waiting to see what its gameplay actually looks like. Bend has been pretty much quiet since the release of Days Gone way back in 2019, aside from giving us a remaster a couple of months back. But in 2022, a few slivers of detail were revealed about what the Oregon studio was currently working on. It shared that its new game will build upon the
damn son, I don't know how you guys play that.
open world systems of Days Gone, but won't be announced until the time is right. Apart from knowing it won't be a continuation of Deacon St. John's story, we really know nothing. And it's been a rocky year for the developer so far, with reports that a live service game it had been working on had been scrapped by Sony, as well as layoffs impacting 30% of the team as it transitions to its next project. Whether this new game the reduced headcount is working on has anything to do with those details revealed 3 years ago, or if the studio is starting again from scratch is unknown. Either way, we wouldn't expect to hear anything soon. Media Molecule spent most of the past decade working on Dreams, the game creation and curation project that was released in 2020. But as a result of significant layoffs at the studio in 2024, live service for the game has now ended, with MM's current aim being to ensure Dreams transitions into a self-sustaining platform. There has since been no news on what the developer's next project will be. Team Asobi gave us one of 2024's biggest games with the charmingly creative platformer Astro Bot. An ode to PlayStation history, it won many awards and cemented itself as one of the PS5's very best offerings. Since then, the Japanese studio has continued to support it with regular updates and levels as recently as
one that followed the PlayStation, because if you guys get your PlayStation 5, you know you're gonna get the Astro Bot follow come with the game. Then last year they released an Astro Bot 2, which was actually a success. It sold like 1 million units in a day. Hours. Let's just put it as a day. So we might actually get another Astro Bot, given the fact that the 2 games were successful and there was a positive review on it. So probably not this year. I mean next year, but
as this summer. But what next? Well, we wouldn't be surprised to see another Astro game on the way, given the critical and commercial success of last year's hit. There's certainly no shortage of obscure PlayStation characters left to sprinkle through more of those colourful levels. Following the success of both the Shadow of the Colossus and Demon's Souls remakes, Sony acquired Bluepoint Games as a first-party studio in 2021. We don't know what its first project since joining the PlayStation Studios family is though, but we do know that the developer has expressed its desire to create an original game, rather than reimagining another classic. Perhaps we could see a reveal soon, but seeing as Sony confirmed that a live service game, which was reportedly set in the God of War universe, was cancelled at the studio earlier this year, it seems unlikely. Polyphony has been making Gran Turismo for 25 years now, so it would certainly be a shock to see it veer from that path in the near future. GT7 came out around 3.5 years ago now, meaning maybe the time is approaching for the reveal of the studio's next racing sim. Similarly, San Diego is well established as the MLB The Show studio. This year's entry only dropped in March, so we can expect to see another next spring if history is anything to go by. Firesprite most recently developed Horizon Call of the Mountain for PSVR 2, following the studio's newfound focus on VR games. What's next is anyone's guess, however. A new virtual reality game would be the educated guess, but given Sony's lack of commitment to creating games for its second generation headset, it certainly wouldn't be a surprise to see the UK studio pivot to something more traditional. Recent reports discussing layoffs and unrest at the developer suggested that Firesprite was working on a live service Twisted Metal game, which has since been cancelled. It's currently believed that the studio is now working on a new game called Project Heartbreak. Details are thin on what this is though, and so we have no idea of when we can expect to see it. Formed earlier this year as part of PlayStation Studios, Team LFG was spun out of Bungie to create a new team-based action game that draws inspiration from fighting games, platformers, MOBAs, life sims, and frog-type games. As to what a frog-type game is, your guess is as good as ours, but the project has been described as letting players inhabit a light-hearted, comedic world set in a brand new mythic science fantasy universe. So we aren't expecting to hear more anytime soon. Another new PlayStation studio for 2025, Dark Outlaw Games, is led by Call of Duty veteran Jason Blundell. Very little else is known about this team or what they're working on though. And that is everything we know about upcoming first-party PlayStation games. And the truth is, very few release dates look to be coming up quickly. Of course, this can and will likely change soon.
But the big issue right now is given the fact that Rockstar just wants to, how will I put it? Rockstar will be taking over 2026 with GTA 6. So I'm guessing, my guess is as good as you guys on, knowing that no gaming company will want to drop at the same time as GTA. We have for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, for 6 months up to 8 months, GTA will be taking over. So even Forza Horizon 6 will be dropping late next year because they can't actually drop almost the same time as GTA 6.
And with GTA 6 looming on the horizon in 2026, it does make sense that many publishers are waiting for Rockstar to unleash their powerhouse before they make their own moves. That said, it doesn't prevent 2025 from still looking relatively empty when it comes to PS5 exclusives. Let's hope that the outlook will look a lot brighter soon, not only for players waiting for new games to play, but for the developers who work so hard to deliver them to us. For more on PlayStation, check out our review of Death Stranding 2 and our most recent video on Ghost of Yōtei.
Okay guys, I guess that's everything we need to know about the studios of upcoming games this year and next year. So let's just stay tuned, and for games that we never know much about, I guess we just have to wait for them to tell us more about those type of games and when they'll be coming out, the release date and everything. So if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscription button and comment down below what game you really are expecting for 2025 2026, and I'll see you guys on the next video.